Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us for Wednesday's Talks, which is part of MAP Gallery's extended cultural program. Our talk today is a continuation of our exhibition titled Silent Threads, which is currently on view at MAP's new space in Bogota. Our Silent Threads exhibition is an allegory to a connecting thread that step by step creates form and tells a story. The threads are silent because traditionally certain media and materials like patchwork, weaving, embroidering, and sewing have been set aside for women, and the works created by them are often left in the background, labeled as domestic pieces. So today, these plastic techniques are gaining greater aesthetic and narrative value in the field of contemporary art. So in our exhibition, we explore processes of artistic creation where the manipulation of the material creates form and depth, transforming originally flat or two-dimensional elements into three-dimensional sculptures full of meaning. The strength of these tissues or these weaves takes on a profound aesthetic and social meaning, exploring narratives related to the female experience, for its legendary connection with weaving, and for its ability to transform the simple into complex and the mundane into supreme. So one of the artists that we are most proud to present at our gallery is Marcellina Akpojotor from Lagos, Nigeria. So Marcellina studied art and industrial design at Lagos State Polytechnic and interned under the Nigerian artist Bruce Onobrakpeya, participating later on in his Harmattan workshop. In her work, Marcellina combines textile collages and traditional painting techniques, including acrylics, to produce layered and densely textured compositions over two-dimensional backgrounds. Her characters are often featured amongst familiar backgrounds and domestic elements, such as house plants, furniture, and pets. For her collages, she uses discarded pieces of Ankara fabric, a textile with Dutch origin, which is one of the most common kinds of African fabric today, characterized by having bold colors, patterns, and design. Through the use of this material, Marcellina explored its political and sociocultural meaning in contemporary culture. And to quote Rele Gallery, which is the gallery that represents Marcellina, they say that in her work, Marcellina presents powerful images that at once capture the unyielding strength, complexities, and seemingly effortless style of her subjects, which also referencing the long, arduous journey of female empowerment and gender equality, especially in contemporary African societies. So now back to you, Marcellina. First of all, I want to welcome you to our Wednesday's conversation here at MAP Gallery. Thank you for taking the time to be with us. I know you have a very, very busy agenda. It is truly an honor for us to have you, not only as an artist in our exhibition, thanks to the collaboration between MAP Gallery and Rele Gallery, but also here in this interview today, which you are currently conducting from Los Angeles, California, where you are at the moment. So I'm gonna give you some questions, okay, and then we will, I'm gonna show you also some images. So give me a second. Okay. So, Marcellina, when you were growing up, you were influenced by your father, yes, who I understand is also an artist. and a sign writer, correct? So tell us, what lessons on creativity did you learn from him? And what lessons are you hoping to pass on to your children when it comes to artistic expression?
Okay. While I was younger, I was always around my father, who is an artist and a sign writer, and it was due to the circumstance at that time. While I was there, I learned things on calligraphy. I learned how to make rubber stamp. I was very much like into what they were doing, and it wasn't looking like work. I was just so excited to be able to just work alongside him and his assistant, and that's kind of created the background for me as an artist. For my child, just as my dad did, it was not forced. It was just an environment that was enabling. Also, I and my husband also try to just create an environment where they come sometimes to just express themselves. And when they are done, we also hang their work on the wall. No pressure, just express yourself, because I think it's good for children to have that freedom to just be themselves.
How old were you when you were working with your dad?
I think I was about 5, and it was due to my school, because where I schooled was quite a distance from where I lived. So we usually leave home together in the morning and then return together in the evening. So in between that time, I'm in school, then I close and I go to meet him where he works. So when he's there, I'm just there observing them. After some time, I'm also like participating before we go home. And I did that for like through my primary and secondary education.
Oh, so it was a long
About
time.
yes, it was about 10 to 12 years.
Oh, okay. What a fantastic opportunity for you as a child,
Yes.
I think. Okay. Um, I'm going to show my screen to show you some images. So this is the first image. It's an image of Nigerian artist Bruce Onobrakpeya. So I understand that you did an internship with him and later you participated in his Harmattan workshop. Uh, why don't you tell us about his work and how being an intern with him influenced your career moving forward?
Liliana Becerra is a well-known artist, printmaker, painter, and he studied at the um, Modibelo University, Zaria, the Zaria Art School, and it was part of the society called Zaria Arts Rebel. Then in his time, they were taught by European expatriates, so they taught them like their styles, and so the group's ideology was to like be able to synthesize their culture and the what they also learned to just create something like an hybrid. So and that kind of paved way for his career. So he does a lot of printmaking, a lot of paintings, and even sculptures. So while I was with him, I had the privilege to work closely with him as a very respected artist, and I'm grateful for the opportunity. While I was there, I worked closely with him, helping with some of the works that were going on in the studio. He does like this technique he calls bronze foil relief. Then he has like the plaster cast. It's kind of high, and it's done using what's it called now? Um, Using all kinds of materials. He does works, metals, and he is inspired by the cultural landscape of it's like the Benin and the Wogo culture influence his works a lot. He explores the cultural folklores. He There's Christian iconography in his work, and he also talk about the political atmosphere in the Nigerian society. So while I was with him, I learned a lot. So how to be an artist, how to be resilient, and how art is a lifelong endeavor. And I also had the opportunity to attend this famous workshop, the Hamilton workshop, where he nurtures like the younger generation. There's like a synergy of the old and the young coming together. It's like a platform for sharing and for learning, like getting the first-hand experience from these people, and it was really a great one for me.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I can imagine how incredible experience that must have been. Um, okay, so moving on to the next question is um, you did you participated in the book The Art of Nigerian Women by Chukwuemeka Osa. How
Yes.
did that how did that happen, and how did that propel your career forward?
Yeah, that's Bembosa reached out to me on Facebook, sent me a message that he likes my work, he would like to feature it in the book. Actually, didn't see the message on time, but when I did, so I responded. Even I thought it was a woman, so I like greeted him. It was a good afternoon, good morning, ma. Then he had, I think, the picture of his mother on his profile. Then he introduced him. No, it's not. It's not. It's a man. I introduced himself, so I got to know him. And he has been a pillar of support to me. So with the book, I was really happy when you featured my work in the book, and that gave me the opportunity to visit America for the first time. And then Ronke Kwesi, I think she got to know of the book, and he also introduced me to her, and that was how I got the Ronke Kwesi Fellowship that brought me to America the first time. I think that was 2017. To New Jersey, and the salon was organized for me, and it was really a stepping stone for me at that time. I had the opportunity to show my work to new audience and a new environment, and it was well received.
And I understand there was an exhibition that came out of that book called Sister Sister.
Yes, Sister Sisters. Yes, there was an exhibition, yes, and it featured other artists, female artists that were featured in the book. And it's really a great thing to like document women that were doing great works. And I really applaud him for that because documentation is very important.
Okay. Um, Now, before you develop your signature style of fabric and paint collage, I understand that you work with pastels and made portraits.
Yeah.
So, how did you transition to developing your current media or technique, which is based on drawing with Ankara textile?
Okay.
Yep.
I started in 2013. Then I was just doing like pastel work, making portraits of the people around me at the time. So I was also making jewelry using fabric and bags. But I was not really satisfied because I felt I could do more. So the idea just came, why not just switch this material? Like instead of using pastel to make the portrait, why not use the fabric instead? It was a challenge, and I was happy that I listened to the intuition and I did it. Fortunately, it entered for a competition and it won the first prize. And then I just continued since it was fabric. It's something that a lot of people could relate to and just like form a connection with the work. And the Ankara itself is rich in culture. Fine, it has the Dutch origin, but it's like embraced in Nigeria. Has this like intricate, very beautiful patterns used to celebrate some kind of event, from naming ceremony. You see a lot of people just wearing them together as ashwebi, like family clothes, and it kind of shows that solidarity, like that coming together of people. And I like that idea very much, like people coming together to be together to create change. I mean, does that change come about when people come together and agree on something? So I like that aspect of the fabric, and the fabric too is like a piece of art that a lot of people can. It's like one affordable piece of art because I see it as art that people can afford, and I just love that aspect, and I just stuck with it. I kept using it, and I also kind of like the way I get these materials because I go from tailors to tailors, just looking from their fly, just pick this fabric that they no longer need and discover from different places. Someone must have bought it and taken it to tailors. And I just love those stories that fine, I'm not even aware of, but
Yeah.
I cannot say they do not exist. So I bring it to the studio and use like pieces of stories to create another narrative. And I think that's very interesting. I find that very fulfilling.
If you start with the thinking that fabric is art, of course your final result is gonna be even greater art, I think. And when you started to see fabrics around in your studio, did you decided like to tear them with the hand, or were you like cutting it with scissors, or how was that first impulse to create?
Like I cut them with scissors, like just created little texture with it. It's not as intricate as I have it now. But like I was just getting to know the material and really use it. But now it's more intricate. You see the pockets of light, you see depth in within the work. So I use scissors for every piece that goes on that canvas. Pass through the scissors.
Okay, okay. Um, I understand that those Ankara fabrics that you're describing are mostly sourced from tailors in Lagos,
Yes,
and that these fabrics are also used by Nigerians as aso-ebi,
yes.
so during special occasions. And you were also talking earlier about the stories that these textiles make you think about. So, what are these stories that Ankara textiles represent for you?
The stories are like stories of everyday people, stories that I may not be aware of, but stories that I might not be aware of, but stories that exist nonetheless. Because you find that people go to the market first, they
Mm,
buy this fabric, then they take it to the tailor, they look at the brochure, and then they select a particular design. There's like excitement, there's hope, like just thinking about how the cloth is going to fit. Then the tailors take these clothes, then do their design, and then they make a dress out of it. So I like go to the place and I pick the remnants of all those of all that has happened and transpired between them. And some people come back and get their fabric, they are so happy, and then they take it to maybe party and there's a communion, they are together, they're celebrating family life, just having a good time. So those stories are usually embedded in those pieces, even when I'm not so certain of how they are. But the truth is, there are always stories in those fabrics.
how exciting. And you mentioned that the tailors wait for you with a bag of fabric, that they know they will save this for you.
Yeah. Yes. After some time, I'm like, yeah, this is what I do. I use this fabric and I show them to work. And they're happy. Like, they don't see how someone can just use things that doesn't make sense to them anymore and use them to create things that are nice. So they just
Mm.
like have a bag in their corner and then they just keep the off cut for me. When I come, I just pick it. And so they're like part of the whole process of the work.
Mm. Okay. Um, I'm going to show you an image here. Let's talk a little bit about Set to Flourish. Um, I understand that there are several artworks created with this name, Set to Flourish 1, Set to Flourish 2, and Set to Flourish 3. Currently at our art map gallery, we have Set to Flourish 3 on view for our Silent Threads exhibition. Um, but I'm very intrigued about first, why the title, Set to Flourish, and second, why did you do three? And what does it mean for you?
With Set to Flourish, I was basically looking at youths like coming of age from being a teenager to being a young adult, and anxiety that comes with it, like your body is changing, you know that you're responsible for your life a bit more than when you're just a kid, and sometimes it comes with all kinds of feelings. There's confusion, like you don't know what to do. So the work is really about that narrative, and I just wanted to like capture it, and then the person coming to the fulfillment and saying, yes, I'm set. It's my life, and I'm set. I want to blossom. I want to flourish. So that was how the title came about, and you can see the lady with the plants wearing very nice clothes, and the canvas, the white canvas, that kind of like represent like youth and all that.
Mm-hmm. And I understand this is your sister, correct?
Yes.
Does she often serve as a model for your portraits or for your painting?
Yes, she does. She does.
Okay. Okay. Currently, you just had your first solo show in the US. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I understand that this is not your first solo show, but it is the first solo show in the US. And it is called Daughters of Esan, which is right now on view at Raleigh Gallery in Los Angeles. It opened on October 30th. So I would like you to tell us a little bit about the concept behind this exhibition.
Yes, the Daughter of Esan is a broader body of work. For this one, the Daughter of Esan Afro generation. So there's like a focus on the fifth generation, who happens to be my daughter. Because the idea of the Daughters of Esan is like exploring my maternal bloodline, trying to document and talk about the story of my great grandmother, how she was in pursuit of literacy, and how that has kind of shaped the other generations. But for the work showings in LA, it's more on the fifth generation, who happens to be my daughter, like a young girl becoming herself. And yes, and that's basically the idea. And the story of a person, it's just more than that person. It's the story of the people around the person, the community, and the interaction. And so that's why you find other people like featuring in the body of work, like the father, the mother, the aunties, even the family friend, because I believe it takes a village to raise a child.
Mm-hmm. And how do you decide that this is the fifth generation? I understand that there was a story about your great grandmother, that her dream was for her to be able to study. So can you tell us a little bit about that? Because I think that's very important for the artworks that you showed during the exhibition.
Yes, my great grandmother, Ebolede Anari, wished to be to have that ability to read and write, but she did not get it, and that was like the memory I have that my mom told me. Like she usually said when if she's to come back to the earth, one of the things she's going to do will also be a book. Like that was how much she wanted to be educated, and that kind of represents other women in our generation. I thought that was like a powerful thing a powerful ambition to have at that time in our life, in early life. It's a great ambition to have at that time, and I was really inspired by that. And I also like understood it's also a way for me to understand my root and to understand the work or the life the women before me had to go through to get to where we are now.
That is very honorable also, to honor your ancestors and the women especially. Okay. So In the exhibition that you have now on show, there is an artwork called The Dining Table. And in this artwork, you are, I don't know if it's you, I assume it's you, teaching a child to write. And I noticed that in this artwork, as much as in other artworks, you depict scenes of your daily life, your children's lives, and you want to make little moments last. So can you tell us about that? Like, why do you think that depicting these everyday moments into art is going to make these moments last?
Yeah, the dining table is me and my two daughters in moments of tutoring, like taking her through her work, and then there's a little one beginning to like be part of what is happening. and I found that interesting. Fine, they're just like modern moments that seem ordinary, but at the end of the day, they are powerful moments because it's also going to shape who they become later in life. So, and I find that interesting. Why not share it? Let it be in the public imagination. Let it kind of like be an archive. Because my great grandmother, I do not really have images of her. So there's no pictorial image. Most of our pictures were lost. So like I wanted to like correct that with this body of work by like documenting a woman, a little girl becoming a woman, becoming herself, and also like showing little aspects of the people around her. So and I find that interesting that now I've shared it with the world, it's going to be like in the public imagination, and a lot more people can relate to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be in the public imagination with a lot more people relating to it and having access to the world. And it also reminds other people of their life, either in the past or in the present.
That is very powerful. And when your daughter grows up, she will be able to see like her own life reflected through you and through your art, which I think is very, very powerful.
Thank you.
Okay. So why matriarchal lineage is important when it comes to speaking about female empowerment in your culture? What is it about female empowerment that resonates with your creative process as an artist, but also as a woman in the world?
I think it's important to document women and tell their stories because the history has not really been kind to us. You find little or no women in some history books. I think it's very important now to document women, to write about women. It even go as far as women practicing in the art. You find little or no record, and they are there. So it's good to shine the light on them and on their stories. And I think I find that interesting. And that's why I'm really interested in the body of work and interested in women empowerment, women enlightenment. Because when you're empowered, you have the ability to choose and how you want your life to go.
Mm-hmm. And this idea of sisterhood is very strong in your culture, right? Okay. So now that you mentioned about featuring women and supporting other women, currently female African literature is going through a moment of emancipation. We spoke earlier about the work of Chimamanda Ngozi, who's the author of the book Americana, which has been very, very successful. How do you see that this book has changed or influenced culture in Lagos, but also how do you see your work also influencing culture in Lagos? How has it been received?
My work has been well received in Lagos. Like people can like forge a connection, maybe because it's fabric, I don't know, but they forge a connection and they're able to like relate. And then you find women when they encounter the work, they are feeling empowered. The men, they are getting to understand the narrative behind it, and we're like talking and trying to make change. At the end, Chimamanda Adichie is one writer that I love, and I first read her book, Purple Hibiscus, and I was hooked of a young girl. I think she explored Christianity and women, and how sometimes it can be a form of oppression to women. I read the book and I was like hooked. She pays attention to details, and like you're reading, but you can actually have the picture of what's happening in your mind, and I find that very interesting.
Yes, and she speaks about also the female expression and the beauty, like the hair and how you present yourself to the world as part of who you are. No, she's very powerful. And for you, how has your work been received, both in Lagos and outside, now in the US and in Europe?
Well, my work has been received well. I get to have people write about the work. People got sending messages that how inspired they are about the work, that they love it, the details, the story. Like it has really been accepted, and also being early at the opening, it was really warm and cozy, and I loved the interaction with the people. Like I feel so welcome here, and I'm happy.
Yes, of course. And you're very easy to talk to, so I think that also adds to the mix. And how do you see art in general evolving, especially the role of women in it today? Since you're a woman and you have been breaking barriers in not only in Africa but now in the world, how do you see this role of women, especially African women today in art?
Okay, the truth is women have always done arts, but they are hardly documented. So people just have an idea that women don't do it, so they do other things that they do not consider art, but it's not true. But in this era, we have a lot of known artists, women artists that are doing well, and they are receiving their dues, and they are recognized, they are being documented, which is really interesting and fascinating. This is like a good time to be alive, and it's so interesting. We have so many African artists that are women and doing so well. So it's interesting, and it kind of also inspire like the generations coming behind us. Like they have a lot of women figures to look up to and also be inspired, because it's a bit of a challenge when some years back, if you see an artist, some people just look at you and like, oh, are you serious? Let's give her 1 to 2 years and see what she does. But the story is changing, and it's beautiful to be a part and also witness it.
To change the story also. You are like changing the story in real time.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So I understand after tomorrow, Tuesday, you're going to Miami Basel. Can you tell us a little bit about this project that you have there?
Okay. I was invited by 14th Residency to be a part of them, and I'm very excited. I'm looking forward to the work I'll be doing there and your experience and people I'm going to meet and connect with. I'm very excited, and I'm looking forward to all the things I'm going to experience.
Mm-hmm. Can you tell us what are you going to be doing there? Or or you don't know, or
like I don't I don't for what I'll be doing there, I would like to like experience the environment and see what I can get, because I like this should not go in because
Okay.
I do not really have an idea of what I'm going to be doing, but
Okay.
I know I'm going to work with fabrics, but and I also like want the environment to also like influence and maybe inspire me. I'm just really open to inspiration and to ideas that I will get there. So I do not really have a prepared project per se.
Okay. We have arrived to the end of our interview with Marcellina. So thank you so much, Marcellina, for sharing your precious time with us today. We are truly inspired by your work, and we hope to continue collaborating with you and Rele Gallery in the future, and hopefully seeing more of your work as well in the future. So thanks for being with us.
Thank you, Liliana. It's a delight speaking with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.